Okay, a bit of housekeeping. Show of hands that you all can hear and see me. Yes. Boleh ya? Okay. Very good. Okay, can. Richard just said can. Good. All right. Okay, today's session is going to be fun. Um, Today we're going to talk about the aspect of transformative learning. A little bit on timing. Today's session starts at 9. Halfway through, I'll give you a short break. And it should take roughly around, I don't know, maybe around 3 hours or 3 hours plus a little bit to cover all of this. However, what we will see is we'll play by ear. All right. If it ends a little bit early or if it takes a full time, then we'll see how it goes. Okay. Now, what we're going to do today is we are going to talk about transformative learning. Now, I'm looking at this way because I have two screens, not because I'm not looking at you. All right, let me just maybe move my screen a little bit over here. Eye contact is very important, one key aspect on presentation. Okay, when we talk about transformative learning here, we are looking at us transforming or in a way going forth to something new from the traditional that we have always been doing. Okay, so in today's session, we are going to cover key aspects of what is transformative learning and how we can then be competitive in this environment, this academic environment that we are in today. Now, during the process, I will talk about the theories and concepts. I will also discuss pertaining to Edu 4.0. Then after that, we are going to concentrate on the key pathways that here at UOW Malaysia that we are heading towards too. Things such as like online distance learning, MOOCs, blended learning, and so on. So this journey that we are going to do today is not so much of like a lesson. It is more of just a discussion and just a sharing session pertaining to what transformative learning is all about and why should we emphasize on this to be competitive. Generally, in a nutshell, private education in Malaysia is a very unique kind of situation, especially on what has happened and the way that it has been managed by by those in power itself. For a country like us, we have 467 private institutions and also 20 public universities. Look at what we have. Look at our population. All of these things later I will speak a little bit upon. How are we going to then sustain the individual institutions itself due to the number of institutions that we have? So in today's discussion, it is very much of an eye-opener on what is this transformative learning and why are we heading towards that pathway that we are in KDU. Many of you may have also thought about when your heads or when your colleagues talk about things such as like, oh, we need to go into MOOC, we need to go into ODL courses, now we are doing blended. So I hope to answer some of those key questions that you have pertaining to why are we doing this? What are the reasons for us? So during my discussion today, I may, or I won't say I may, but I will touch upon certain key aspects that sometimes it could be a little bit sensitive, aspects pertaining to regulations in our country and also to things such as like population breakdowns and whatnot, because it is important for us to be realistic and understand this is what is happening to our country. This is what's happening to our learners for us to be able to transform and be able to then adapt what we have to the needs of this market itself. Okay. So to start it off, this will be our learning outcomes. Generally, the first thing is the future of higher education in a disruptive world. That is the key thing about transformative learning. Now, if you go online and you read transformative learning has many theories and concepts. Some of them are very pedagogical in the nature that it is a practice, it is a theory that is done. What we are going to do, the word transformative learning for us is going to be very practical in such that it is the practice that we do in our institution to be competitive. Okay, so if you look at what we are looking at when I discuss about transformative learning, it's going to emphasize on the way that we deliver, that it is out from or different from the traditional that we have always been given or we have always used. So here we're going to look at open and distance learning, ODL, micro-credentials, blended and hybrid learning. But these three over there, I will not emphasize so much. I will tell you about the policies in Malaysia, how is it done, and why is it done itself. The main emphasis will be on the future of higher education today. That is the key driving force in our discussion. And that will actually, in a way, stimulate the way that we think on why transformative learning is so important. Why do we need to step out from status quo and what we have been doing, and why do we need to change itself? Okay. I will also put in certain key examples of our competitors that have actually done very, very well in transforming their delivery methods to be competitive to meet the needs of the market. Okay. Now, education has become a commodity, basically, where students are outputs of a well-oiled machine. So, that is how it is. However, humans are not uniform, thus a casting mold method will not work. All right. This is something very important that for us to understand. When we look at private education in general, and also higher education, it has reached a stage that it is now we are creating, and we are in a way like a machine, a well-oiled machine, where at the end of the day, the whole process takes a duration of time and effort, and the output is very, very similar. But then we need to also understand the input that is coming into this machine, humans, me and you, our students, they are all not uniform, and they are all very different. So if they are different, then the method that we use should also be different and should also evolve to the needs of this general source itself. That's number one. Number two, what has happened today is the output. Previously, when we look into a machine, okay, the output is very uniform. What comes in goes out, it is the same. It is like a casting mold. It's called the casting mold method because the customer wants that casting mold, that product that is uniform. But today, what we see is very unique. Our customers do not want that. Our customers want unique forms of products that are different from each other to fit into their requirement. So if what the customer wants is different from what we are giving, so this is called a mismatch. And when a mismatch happens, that is where our students will not be able to find jobs, in a nutshell. Okay, so this is what is actually happening. Two-prong over there. Input is unique, and the output, what the customer wants, is also different. Okay, because of this key understanding that we have over there, it is very important for us to understand that what are we doing today? Are we doing justice to our students that at the end of the day, they will then be accepted by the market? That is question number one. Question number two, are we in a way adapting our style to adapt to the unique nature of every individual that comes in so that they will reach their potential? That is the thing. All right. So when we look into the big picture, at the end of the day, for us as an institution of higher learning, what are we looking at here? We are not only looking at churning out graduates. We are looking at what is key, or more important, is churning out graduates that can find jobs. That is what is important. So if what we are doing does not meet that, then it is then very important for us to realize that we need to transform the way that we do our work itself. Okay, so that is where that will be the key aspect of discussion that we are going to do today. All right, guys, that will be the key aspect of the discussion. Okay. The next part here, I'm going to quote you a little bit. As you know, we are now very much into OBE, outcomes-based education, and whatnot. So the father of OBE, his name is William Spady. If you read his articles, his journals, his writings and whatnot, always emphasize on this, which is always in my mind, and I always extract it, and I find it very important. The current emphasis of education, that what we are doing in many institutions, we are evolving, is on the when and how. when is it given and how is it given. So we always think of schedules. We always think of like a machine. Students come in, they go for class 4 hours, 3 hours. This is what I teach. This is what I do. So it's the when and how. They come in every week, Tuesday, Wednesday, 9 to 11, 4 hours a week, and I do a lecture. That is the when and the how. That is very efficient. Efficient means it is easy. We do it, big group, everybody can get. But is it effective? So when you look into outcomes-based education, I'm going to link that in. I always speak about OBE. It is not so much on the when and how in reality, but we need to look at the what and whether. What are they supposed to get, the student, and whether they achieve it or not. That is more critical than the when and how. The reason is because, remember in my earlier statement, I said, we are like a machine, the input, but the input is always different. Because the input is different, the students, you got 30 students, all 30 of them are different in the way that they think. Then the methods of the when and how following a rigid structure may not be efficient. All right, may not be efficient. All are unique. So what we should look at over here is the what and the whether aspect. What should the students learn? What should be needed in them for them to be competitive in the working environment? And we evaluate them at the end, and that is the whether they achieve that or not. That is more important than the when and how. Now, is this realistic? Yes, it is. But it needs to have a rethink on the way that we do our work. It needs to have a paradigm shift in the way that we accept what is correct or wrong. Are we ready to do these kind of things? We better be. Because what is happening is the goalpost is changing. The goalpost is the goal that we need to achieve. That is what a goalpost is. In education, the goalpost for us is when a student joins us for the 3-year degree. At the end of the day, they must then do what, be able to achieve this and so on. For many of you, you will understand this as the PEO, Program Educational Objectives, and that is critical. That is why the PEO evolves over time. It doesn't stay still because the market changes. So for us, we need to evolve with that also. That is where transformative learning comes in. So for me to then take on to the next stage is not only transformative learning, but for students to experience the transformative learning, we need to then undertake the challenge of now restructuring our delivery. So it is a teaching and learning delivery. So it's now going to be transformative delivery to ensure transformative learning in the student. All right? Because we are the machine. All right? So this is where I want to stress upon over here. The writings of William Spady, the father of OBE again, is not something new. He wrote his papers 30 years ago or more. But during that time, he already foreseen that these were the challenges. And that is why when he stressed on the concept of OBE during then, he was met with quite a bit of rejection and also skepticism. How is this going to be done? Why are we doing it? All right. He went back to the basic theories of, ladies and gentlemen, at the end of the day, what are we here for? To ensure the what and the whether. What students are learning and whether they achieve it. The when and the how is just the means to the end. The when and the how is just the means to the end. But in many organizations, it has become the end, where once we do the when and the how, we do the teaching, and we do every week 3 hours or 4 hours, we feel that we have achieved our goal. So are we doing justice to the students? Transformative learning. Why is this important? As I go on to the next few slides, we are going to see the changes that are actually happening today, all right, in our environment itself. Very unique, ladies and gentlemen, very unique. All right. Now, Do I read quite a bit about this? Yes, that's why I sleep very early every night. Every time I read this kind of journals, 10 minutes I will sleep already. It's boring like hell. All right? No, lah, it's actually quite nice. Lah. Huh? Okay. Now, I'm going to share with you an article today. Today's, today, Malay Mail. Prime Minister, we changed so many, I forgot also which one is it. All right. Future-oriented teaching and learning should be core of national higher education. Okay, you all can see this, right? I'm sharing screen with you. He has stressed that. And I just want to quote one paragraph. I will take paragraph 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh, sorry. Or is it? Here. Okay. Where is it? 1, 2, 3. Okay, here, wait. Changes brought the process. Government ensure concerted efforts were implemented to encourage transition more higher education meets the needs of the industry. Okay. So what he's trying to say is very, very important. All right. He says that the changing environment has changed. And then what is important is he is looking at us. All right. Where he's looking at the, we need to be adaptive. All right. We need to understand what is happening. And he also stressed that we should then be allowed to be flexible in the way that we deliver, not rigid. All right. You read this article over here. He says that we need to be adaptable and we need to be, in a way, be able to structure our teaching to ensure the students become competitive. Okay. I find this article very, very interesting. These talents must include a variety of fields of knowledge or multidisciplinary in preparation to face an increasing challenging future. That's what he said. He said we should be, in a way, creative, innovative, allow our students to look at multidisciplinary learning. Yes, it's true. Okay, look at some of our competitors, they are already doing it. I want to quote Taylor's University. Why? Because this is what is happening. Students alone, when they go out, even though they are graduates in engineering, they're graduates in business, they're graduates in hospitality, but when they go out and work, the skills that are required is not just limited to the discipline that they have gone through. Very good. When you read this article and what he has in mind is very good. I'm not saying the implementation can be a different story. I know many of you say, Gabe, what is written? PM cakap memang betul. But the MQA officers come, they say you must follow standards, program standard. Program standard say must do this, do this, do this, do that. You follow only. Yes. So that's why this is called mismatch. This is called mismatch. Okay. But on the aspect is there is a change that is happening. But on our side, we need to make sure that because we are the engine, we are the one that is doing the change. We need to be the one that will come up a structure to be able to come up with this structure to ensure that the students will then be competitive for this world that we are looking at. Okay, so I will just copy this. I will put it in the, just for your reference. Very good. Read. Okay. Okay. Now, next, I'm going to do a little bit of activity. This is something I learned last week. For those of you who were in Idora's class, this is something that I learned last week. And I find it quite fun. So I'm going to do it also. It's quizzy time. Yes. Okay, just give me a second. What I'm going to do is I'm going to share the link. Okay, share or share via, okay, copy link, paste. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I want you to click on this. You will then be, you come to a separate screen, and from there, we are going to do this activity. All right? Do you all see that link over there? Please click that link, guys. Yes, I see. Yes, I see Wendy in, Johan in. Okay, very good. Come, yes, yes, yes. Stephanie, yes. AL. One, two, three, four, five, six. See, I can see Aputa. Aputa was also here last week. So I think he's also quite good in using this. Group 3, Miss Jehan, observer. Okay, Yok Mei. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, there are 14 of you. We are going to start. Just some simple questions. Let's go. Okay. Ooh, done. All right, ladies and gentlemen, you see, let me just tell you the breakdown. The breakdown of answers over here are, can you all see the breakdown or can you not see the breakdown? I don't think you can see the breakdown. I'm sorry, you can't see the breakdown. What you're seeing is you're seeing my screen only, correct? Okay. The breakdown is 7 yes and 8 no. Okay. 7 yes and 8 no. I think I shall do this. Okay. So I think everybody can see. All right. Okay. 7 yes and 8 no. Now, look at the question. Do you think the current educational model will still be relevant in the future? We are educators. We are educators. Many of you have been teaching for many, many years, and there is a balance over here. And majority, I mean, a slim majority even says no. So for many of you, you're already thinking, what are we doing today? This system that we are doing, this formal aspect of learning, is something that was passed on from our colonial masters. All right, now so many years. This is a very traditional aspect of learning. We used to have the O levels, A levels, the diploma, the degrees, and the masters and whatnot. That system was relevant 50 years ago. But today things have already changed, and it is good. You're already thinking, if it is then not relevant, question number one, why are we still doing it? Is this what the market wants? But will the market reach a stage that they will realize that this is no more than important? That this is not what education is all about? All right, that qualification. Or is this a very Asian thing where every parent will want their child to have that paper qualification, to wear that mortarboard, and to take that family photo? Maybe it is. So we need to realize this. Is this current education system relevant due to the fact of what the market currently, which are the parents to a certain extent, see that is important? But for the future, when we see new parents, when we see parents that have gone through a different kind of environment, how then will they see learning? Okay. Um, I do not know. Some of you may know our colleague Elvin Lau. I think some of you may know Elvin. He used to be from Teaching and Learning Center. All right. He used to be the head of Teaching and Learning Center quite a few years ago. And now he actually writes for the Malay Mail. All right. Yes, very interesting. Very, very interesting. One article that he wrote, Elvin, I think it was, if I'm not wrong, a week ago. Very interesting. He was talking about a gap year. A gap year means taking a year off or 2 years for students. Just picture this, guys, all of you. Let's say your child, for those of you who have, suddenly tells you, Mommy, after SPM, I want to take 1 or 2 years off. I want to go to what country? I want to do this. I want to do that. I want to work in McDonald's to do 1 year. Okay? What do you think? For many of us, it can be a big of a shock. No, 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 no. Finish your study first. Finish everything, then later only go and work, correct or not? But what we are seeing today is when you talk about experiential learning, all right, you talk about experiential learning, where learning is not only from the books. That 1 year or that 2 years gap there could actually open the eyes of the student and to see what reality is all about. Because at the end of the day, this is going to be what the person wants to do. Okay, and it gives that person perspective. So I find that a very good article that he wrote, and it actually opens this is something that was widely discussed before already. And over in Malaysia, it is not popular. But slowly, in more developed countries, this is actually very much the norm. My question is this: will it then be the norm for us? How is this evolving? What do we see the nuance and the needs of the students itself? Okay. Now let's look at the next. Okay. Ta-da! Okay, very good. Now, let's look at the responses over here. What we have: problem solving. Very good. Soft skills, communication, soft skills, computer skills on programming. Very good. Creativity, communication skills, people skills, managing stress. That one critical lah. How to manage stress. Mental well-being skills. Yes. All right. Thinking skills, digital skills, communication, entrepreneurship. Yes, Susie. Analytical, problem solving, critical. Quite a few are. There's a lot of emphasis on communication, communication skills. All right. Now, let me just explain to you over here. If you look at the MQF 2.0, you will find that the 8 domains have become the 5 clusters. Betul, right? 8 domains sudah jadi 5 clusters. If you look at that 5 clusters, you will break down into 11 subclusters. 11 subclusters. So we have knowledge, we have cognitive skill, we have practical skill, we have digital skill, we have numerical skill, we have interpersonal skill, we have personal skill, we have communication skill, we have leadership, we have ethics and lifelong learning. I got no life. I remember all of this shit. All right. If you look at that now, guys, how many of the 11 is thinking, is knowledge and cognitive skill? Then we have psychomotor, which is the practical skill. Out of the 11, I would dare say 3 to 4 are basically knowledge and cognitive. The other 7 or 8 are affective, hard skills, which is what exactly you all wrote, which what yours are: communication skills, digital skills, entrepreneurship, managing stress. Yes. What you have said is exactly in NQF 2. All right, Malaysian's Quality Framework version 2, exactly the same. So what I'm trying to say is this: all of you here, ladies and gentlemen, you know what is it all about. We know this is what the students need. The government also knows. That's why they have MQF 2.0. But when we do our assessment in class, when we emphasize learning, you will see that 80% of our emphasis will be on just 3 skills: knowledge, cognitive, and psychomotor, practical skills. Is there a mismatch then? You already say for the future, the key skills, communication skills, this, that, and so on. But when we teach and when we assess, what do we do? Cognitive side. I'm not saying, nor am I discounting the fact that cognitive skills are very important. This is what is called discipline basis skills. This is the discipline itself. But are we not emphasizing enough for our students to be competitive in the future and when they go out to the workforce in 2025? That is what I want you all to start thinking of. Next. Interesting. Very interesting. Wow, guys, look at this. 9 of you put professionalism and strong work ethics. True, true. There is this general aspect that ethics is something that is inborn. Yeah, this fellow, they know what is right and wrong, which I beg to differ. If people do know what is right and wrong, then the 1MDB case will not have happened. All right. So when you look into this, we are least preparing them, it is important. Ethics is so important. Professionalism is important, but we are least preparing them. Let me tell you why. I can really say why. Hard to assess. It's very, very difficult to assess a person on professionalism and ethics. It's very difficult. You cannot do an examination. How do you then assess these kind of aspects? There is going to be a lot of observational assessment involved. And when you do observational assessment or feedback or reflection, there is going to be level of subjectivity. And subjectivity is something that us educators do not like. Yes, correct, right, guys? We don't like subjectivity. We like to be very objective. Yes means yes, no means no. A model answer, this and that, and so on. It makes our life more structured, easier. But we already stressed that in these key skills, these are the 5 key skills employers are looking for today, And I got this from legitimate research sources. And we already say over here, teamwork, collaboration, no need to worry. We are doing quite well. Critical thinking, yes. Problem solving, we are still lacking. But it's the professionalism and the strong work ethics that is what we are lacking. So maybe it is important for us to now take a step back. When you do your program review, ladies and gentlemen, when you do your program review, take a step back. Look at it from a more holistic manner. Look at the program that you're doing. Because professionalism and strong work ethics is part of the 5 cluster, so you have to achieve. So now you may want to look at it as, how are we going to achieve this? How are we going to ensure our students reach a certain level of ethical understanding? We don't expect them to be ethical in their beliefs 100%, no, but their understanding of what ethical behavior is. What method will be most suitable? Okay. 2 weeks ago, I did a session with the SOS School of Social Sciences, and during then, we also did an impromptu program review. So as you know, School of Social Sciences, what they do is they are doing A levels. All right. I'm just taking A levels as an example, which the program is structured by an external board. So they always ask me, okay, how do we do this one? All the LO, all achieved already, all the LO, the CLO given by Cambridge. What am I going to do? How am I going to look into ethics? How am I going to look into communication skill? So what I told them was this, very simple. When we look into the 5 clusters, when you look into our graduate attributes, you guys know we have these UOW graduate attributes. UOW graduate attributes and the 5 clusters, very, very similar. You achieve your 5 clusters, your PLOs, you will achieve the graduate attributes. So I told them, if you want to emphasize or you want to speak on and stress on ethics to your student, it may not be what do you call that, assess kind of assessment. Okay, summative assessment. It doesn't need to be a summative assessment. Okay, formative assessment is assessment to better the student and formative feedback. Summative will impact the final grade. All right, that is summative. So formative and summative. So I told them, when you look into ethics in your class and how do you want to develop, you can do activities that at the end of the day give formative feedback to your students. It doesn't need to be summative. Why? Because A levels summative is controlled by Cambridge. The final grade, the student, whether they get A or B for biology, is by Cambridge. So does that mean we neglect ethics in class because it is by Cambridge? No, it is the way we deliver our lessons in class. It is how we emphasize on key aspects. So I was telling them, for example, if you are in chemistry class, you can emphasize on ethics by stressing on chemical warfare. So happen, is Russia, Ukraine, war happening. So we can say, look at the miracle of chemical reaction. This is what you can get. But this can also, in the hands on the wrong person, can be ethically impacting people's life, chemical warfare. All right. So this opens the eyes of the students. That is what we are trying to say. Then some of them also ask, what about things such as like entrepreneurship? How do we emphasize entrepreneurship to A-level students? This is something I got from Dr. Tang. Very good. They explain. He teaches biology. And in biology, he explains to the student about this, that, recycling and whatnot. And entrepreneurship can be like, when you recycle this item, look at what kind of business opportunity can be used for this recycled item. So what we are doing, we are not here to make them entrepreneurs. We want them to have that entrepreneurial thought. Entrepreneurial thought. So this is what we call integrating the key aspects into our teaching, and which clearly shows in your feedback over here, the 5 skills and what we are not doing well. The reason is because in our syllabus today, there is very little or even none on matters pertaining to the word ethics and professionalism, unless maybe in law school and so on. So sometimes we tend to neglect this. And by neglecting this, we are not doing justice to our students. Okay? And finally, now don't worry, just put in, when we say innovative and future-ready institution, which comes into your mind? Our competitors, other people, or even us? It can be us. Uh-huh. Time's up. Oh, okay, fine. I just fast because I didn't want you all to overthink. Questions like this, you don't want your participants to overthink. When they become rational and they are worried to write their answer, they won't write the right answer. It should be immediate. So I gave a short time. Okay. Now, I want to stress that you see Sunway, APU, MSU, Taylor's, Taylor's. This one got 3, and Taylor's and Taylor's. Same. For me, I put Taylor's also. Later, I show you why. They are actually innovative and also future ready. Successful or not, different story. Okay, maybe they were a little bit too early for their time. Maybe, who knows? But they are very innovative. They dare do things that are different. Why are they doing things that are different? Because they foresee what is going to happen in the future. And that is critical. That is critical. By doing so, you are rating the students for the future because they foresee this is what they want. But it's also very important to understand the readiness of the market. The readiness of the market, if the market is not ready for that change, when you are very innovative, they won't change also. All right, but they can regret in the future. Okay, so this is what I just want you all to have a look over here, that our competitors around us, MSU is just a stone's throw away. If you have a very strong right arm, stone's throw away from us, and they are also very innovative. What are they doing that we can learn? Learning from our competitors is not wrong. Okay, we are not saying that they are better than us. They could be better than us, and it's important for us to learn from them. And this is something I always tell people. All right, do not be shy to learn from others. All right, because at the end of the day, it is the survival is very important. Right? So thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. That was the feedback. It is, as you can see, it was an eye opener. It was a very good eye opener to see what we think. And most of you over here, you guys realize that the aspect of what is important for the student already. So now comes into us. Why? How are we going to do this? What is then needed? Who are then our market? Okay, who are then our market? All right, guys, following? Good. Hands up, down, good. All right. Yay. Okay. So what is transformative learning? Transformative learning stems from the reality that the status quo will not be sufficient to meet the changing education needs. That's transformative learning. Status quo cannot meet Education needs. Education needs, when I use the word education needs, it is the core element. Education needs are driven by market demands. Okay, education needs are driven by market demands. As educators in today's environment, you don't decide the market, the market decides us, Traditionally, big universities decide what needs to be given, how the market is driven. But today it is different. It is the market that drives us. So we are now we are churning out products, and our courses and our programs are products. So we need to make sure that these products meet that demand itself. Okay. Key to the challenge will be the implementation of new programs and course delivery modes. The delivery modes need to evolve. The way that we deliver needs to evolve. That is called delivery modes. Or some of you will call teaching and learning methodology. Teaching and learning methodology. All right. There are various kinds of delivery modes. Currently, we are doing one. All right. This is called, we are practicing blended synchronous. I'm doing a blended synchronous. All right. What is blended synchronous? You know the word blended, mix. Synchronous means face-to-face with me now and you. So it could be, blended synchronous could be virtual or could be actual physical. So the term is blended synchronous. This is blended synchronous. I do practice blended synchronous to expect, and this is currently virtual synchronous. Okay. Synchronous, asynchronous. You all know that, right? All right. So course delivery modes, and also to the teaching and learning instructional methods used in the classroom. So when we talk about the modes and the methods that has been used, it is very important for us to emphasize on those key aspects. All right. Because of the changing demands of the market, we need to ensure that the students that come in, they are like they are the raw material. Students are raw materials. They come in. We want to structure them. We want to mold them. We want to ensure that when they come out, this is what the market wants. This is what the market wants. Okay. And what comes in, it is not standardized. If what comes in is standardized, all 50 students that are in your class are exactly the same behavior. Easy, lor. Easy. But they are not. All 50 have different unique characteristics. Okay. So why is transformative learning needed? So if you look at education 1, now this is just 1, 2, and 3 just to show you the progression. First level, previously I'll deliver content at my pace, in my way, and you will learn if you can. That was how traditionally it was. I deliver, you learn. 2, I'll adjust how and what I teach so that it gives you the best chance for success. I'll adjust. Okay, many of us are doing that. We are adjusting. We are, so in a way, if students want faster, slower, that's what we do. Education 3, I'll provide you with the resources and content you need so you can learn what you need in the way that works for you whenever and wherever you are. I will then make myself available to help you apply the learning in a useful manner. This is what is happening today. This is what I foresee education to be. All right. I got this from this gentleman, Matt Church. When I read what he wrote over there, I mean, from his site, I found it. This is exactly what I foresee education to be, and this is what I foresee we should go to. Am I or are we totally correct? Don't know. But this is based on our understanding and reading. So I would just want to read back that part. I'll provide you with the resources and content you need so you can learn what you need. So the learning is on the student. The student, that part over there, will learn what they want to learn in the way that it works for them. Because some of them have different environments. Some of them may be working. Some of them have different learning abilities. And wherever or whenever that they are. They can be at home. They can be in school physically. All right? And all of this. So it is flexible to the max. And what will I do then as a facilitator? I will then make myself available to help you apply that learning in a useful manner. So as you can see in what he wrote or wherever he got this from, we now from cikgu, sifu to be facilitators. Facilitators. Facilitators, from the word facilitate, is to ensure students achieve their goal. We are there to achieve, to assist. Visualize this as the yellow brick road. Right, the yellow brick road. we are on that path to the castle. And when we are off the road, we are out a little bit to the rough, somebody pushes back to the road again. That should be our role. We should not be the one holding the hand to reach the castle, but to ensure that these people, the students, achieve the goal on their own. That is what we are doing. We should do. That is called facilitation. We facilitate their learning. Okay, so when students achieve their goal, when students get 4.0 and students come to you and say, Miss Murina, terima kasih, thank you very much for teaching me this and that. Yeah. What you should tell them is, student, you achieve it on your own. You thank yourself. You did it. I helped you. Okay, but it was you who achieved it. Okay, which is theory number 2 for OBE. Success breeds success. All right, if you read the concepts of OBE, success number 2 is success breeds success. So this is what it is. Students must take responsibility for their learning. Once students take responsibility of their learning and they know that the success depends on them, then they will then know what to do to achieve. You have heard on many cases, our students in our campus do diploma or whatever. You're hopeless lah, this student assignment last minute, this and that and whatever. Final year or whatever, went overseas. Suddenly, very good, independent, can do everything on their own. Then you ask yourself, why? This student over here, when I thought tak boleh pakai punya, but go overseas jadi hero, no? How come? The reality. Maybe the student realized that the parents are telling, boy, you're going to study, daddy needs to auction off his house or need to take loan for you to go and study, so you better be responsible, or something like we don't know. Or maybe it is the whole aspect of learning over there, and that person succeeds. So sometimes it is not that individual itself, but it could be the surrounding or what is impacting that person for them to want to learn. All right. So the Industrial Revolution is also something very critical for us to understand when we look into transformative learning. First revolution, mechanization of manufacturing. Second revolution, mass production, assembly lines, machines. Okay, Ford Model T, second revolution, car starts coming out. Third revolution, automated production using electronics, program, logic controllers, IT systems and robotics, 80s and 90s. Today, we're looking at the fourth revolution, automated decision-making of cyber-physical systems using machine learning through cloud technology. So what we see over here in this fourth revolution, this is what we are heading towards too. When you look into this industrial revolution, the first thing that should come into our mind is how it impacts our life. Look at the way we are today. Our lives are growing, are getting longer. Previously, every month, I still remembered I need to go to various places to pay my bills. Electric bill, phone bill, water bill, and so on. So it was very physical. Drive, take bike to that particular area. It used to be the post office. I used to love the post office in Jalan Klang Lama because it's one place I can kill everything, I can do everything. But the queue was crazy. Journey over there, 15 minutes. Queue, sometimes 2 hours. Finish work, finish whole thing, 3 hours. Today, I can do the same thing due to where we are today in a span of 10 minutes with the help of Maybank to you. That is what is impacting, how it's impacting our lives. All right. The amount of information that students get from their mobile phone, the access on Google itself, have created a society where knowledge is the breadth of knowledge is there. Breadth, but no depth. Okay. This is a society where what we see is they know a lot of things, a little bit. They know there's a war in Ukraine, but they do not know why it started. All right. They do not know that in 2014, actually the de facto war already started. They do not know, but they know there's a war in Ukraine. Okay. This is what is happening to the environment. And the general aspect of decisions over here has also, the Industrial Revolution has also impacted another thing, relevant jobs. Certain jobs are no more relevant. And it is also clear to say that there are many jobs that we don't even know that will come. Who will ever thought 5 years ago there's this thing as non-fungible transactions, NFTs? Oh, sorry, non-fungible tokens. All right, NFTs. Or 5-6 years ago, we will look at the job of an influencer as one that makes easily 10 times more than I make on an average influencer. That is something that maybe I could look into. Maybe in my retirement, I should do product reviews. You know, that could be the way. Okay, so are we readying our students to this kind of environment, this kind of demand from the market? The Future of Job Report 2018 World Economic Forum, it states that the job landscape in 2022. I purposely took this a little bit older because it's 2022 now. Emerging roles, global changes in 2022. What did they say in 2018 and see whether realistic or not? Okay, data analysis and scientists, AI and machine learning specialists, general and operations management, software, everything is to do with tech, big data, and so on. And this 2018 report was before COVID. Today, this is even expedited, it's even faster, it's even higher. Research have said that what happened when the COVID scourge impacted was it expedited implementation and adaptation of technology threefold. Faster, because we had no choice. We had no choice. All right. And this can only go forward. It won't go back. It won't go back. It won't, okay, we are now technologically more advanced. Let's go back to where we are. No. It will then maintain that as the benchmark and it will further grow soon. So you just look at that. And it's important also to look at the bottom over there. The declining jobs. Data entry clerks, accounting, administration. Why? Because all of this can be done online. All right? All of this can be done with technology. Machine learning can actually, in a way, recommend counters for us to buy. Counters means a stock market, stock counters to buy on statistical calculations. This is what is happening. What about education itself? If there is a clear structure of learning and a recognition by employers that it is the competency of a person and not just the paper qualification that holds weight, and they have a good method of assessment, a good test on assessing competency of employees, I can safely say traditional education like us will die. Okay, currently we are still living on our laurels on the aspect that how does the employer gauge ability is by the paper qualification. Diploma, degree, master, PhD, dan lain-lain lagi. Diploma persamaan boleh belajar at this level. Degree persamaan apa-apa-apa. That is how they are gauging. But with this, we are looking at big data, we are looking at machine learning, we are looking at this and that. There will be a better way of assessment. As many of you know, having a diploma, a degree, a master, or a paper qualification does not mean ability. All right, it does not mean that. This person may not be able to work. Okay, more so when the demands of the employer is changing so rapidly. All right, so what this shows here is what is then going and what is coming. So if statistics, if I would say big research firms have already decided that certain of these areas are the dying breed, and if you are still harping on it for the success of your school, then I think it is about due time for you to be realistic and then switch and understand that maybe on an aspect of accounting, for example, the growth is going to be quite stagnant. And how do we then evolve and transform for us to be competitive? Skills outlook. Future role of jobs, same thing, but now this is look at the skills. 2022 skills. Analytical thinking, active learning, creative, technology design, critical thinking, problem solving, leadership, and so on. Emotional intelligence. Okay? This is what is critical now. They want the person to think, to be able to evolve, to be able to create. It's the creation part of it. What skill is important is the creation, because the making, the manual aspect, which is the declining aspect over here, will be done by machines. Something we need to look into also. Something that we really need to look into. All right. And due to the COVID, one key skill that many of you have also written is on the aspect of adaptability, being able to change, being able to adapt, being able to accept failure, being able to suddenly 18th of March 2020, lockdown. What do we do? Immediate, not panic, but what do we do? That the ability to think and be able to adapt to those kind of immediate changes. The jobs for tomorrow. This is World Economic Forum 2021, more recent. This one I got recently. So based on the report, what is key? This is end of 2021. WEF came out with this report. I extracted the key points from the report. Number one, tech-related cloud blockchain. There is this job now that is growing. It's called blockchain analysis or investigator. This is growing. This is a new role that has been looked into. Socially conscious and environmentally responsible society. What we find is, for the jobs of tomorrow, there's a lot of emphasis on going green, on the environment. Okay? Even in Malaysia, if you have seen the fastest growth of a segment of cars in Malaysia are the electric cars. All right. Many car companies like Volkswagen have already said from 2025 onwards, they will stop producing ICEs, internal combustion engines. Volvo is already going all out. All the big car companies are going all out to go into a more greener environment. All right. Okay. Give me a second. I have a finance call. Terkendala sebentar. When finance calls, you don't pick up. Mana tahu they may say naik gaji ke or something like that, not likely, but who knows. All right, so as I was saying here, next, business will focus on upgrading their worker skills to stay competitive. Businesses will now focus on upgrading their staff. Upgrading their staff. So what we see is there is going to be a lot of demand for training demand. Okay, so companies understand I got staff with me, but this staff I hired 15 years ago, 10 years ago. The market is changing, so businesses understand their resources are there, but the demand change, product also change, everything changes. So now they have to upscale this. I want you all to think about it to be competitive. Look at your school. What can we do? Okay, what can you do? Are we looking at just the programs? No, we're looking at corporate training. A lot of companies are coming to us and ask, hey, can you do this for us? Can you do that for us? Can you do programming, basic programming skill for my managers or for my junior executives? In 2025, analytical thinking, creativity, and flexibility will be among the most sought after skills. This is it. Analytical thinking, creativity, flexibility. Very sought after. Why flexibility? They do not want to hire a person that only can do one thing. This is what's happening to companies. It's called, in Chinese, they say, yak yok tak. That means you hire this person, but this person is also multitasking, can do various things. A hotelier that also can do web design, because that can be very important. All right. So this is the general blending that is critical. Content creation, social media management, content writing is very big. Content creation for the social media, for management of social media, and also content writing is a growing market. Very, very growing. And remote work is here to stay. Remote work is going to be ongoing already. All right. Why? Because this is what has already happened. All right. You would find it is quite amazing that during the time of COVID, where companies were struggling, we would have thought that people will not resign and will just struggle on because it's so difficult to find jobs. But there were a lot of people resigning. A lot of people actually understood or start finding the reality of what value is. When there is no shake in the system, we accept status quo as the norm. But when the system was shook, sorry, okay, was shook in a way, what happened is they see what is important for them differently. Family, health, well-being, key things now became more important than just the job itself. There's many of you may have heard on the term the Great Resignation. People started resigning. In our context, our organization also, we see a lot of people resigning. All right, and that is the reality. What is value for that individual? And remote work is here to stay. So when you see this as the jobs for tomorrow, what happens is in our mind, we are the factory. We are the factory guys. How do we ensure the output or the product that is coming out from us will be able to meet that? That is what is important. By 2022, everyone will need an extra 101 days of learning. We need to upskill ourselves. So this is what it's saying. I just put that down. Same report, because this is in now 2022. All of us, many of us will need to upskill, to learn more. Last week, I was in Idora's training. I upskilled myself to be able to use Quizy. All right. Last time, I'm a master in Kahoot. Kahoot then needed to charge more money, so I couldn't use Kiam Siap. Okay, so I learned Quizy, and I am able to do it. Upscaling. We need to continuously learn. We need to better ourselves because the environment is changing. Who is changing? Who is my market today? You are my market. You are my audience. So I understand that this is going to be a bit dry at times. So I needed to use certain aspects to do feedback. So what I did earlier on was formative assessment, formative feedback. Okay, so I got feedback from you to look into your understanding, and by that I work on the answers that were given by the audience. So learning and the gig economy. What we see, the gig economy is growing. All right, the gig economy will not only mean what we think about Lala Move, Grab, and so on. No, what researchers have seen is this can also even go into the professional field. All right, even into a professional field, because this is what is happening. The flexibility of the workers is what is demanded from them. They do not want to be held down in a rigid structure. So many of them may even go to a gig economy. And from there, the general growth of this will see the way individuals put value into things. Value. All right. Young people need skills and experience for jobs of the future, not the past. All right. So young people today, we need to ensure that they have the required skills, because occupation entry-level roles for young people are disappearing very, very fast. All right, very fast. For some of you who have been in KDU or UOW Malaysia KDU, or during the last time before, many years ago, I still remember, because I'm part of the furniture here. We used to have the secretarial school. We were one of the largest, next to Stanford, secretarial school in Malaysia. School totally closed down. Why? There's no need for secretarial school anymore. All right. Things have changed. The market has changed. So that was only one. All right. And that was one due to the third industrial revolution. We look into digitization and so on. Now it is the fourth. In the fifth, ladies and gentlemen, there even may be no need for teachers anymore, which I foresee very soon. Sad to say, in a way, I foresee that it's going to be, in the traditional sense, teachers going to class. It will eventually go. All right. When you look into things such as like Coursera and whatnot, today we say, yeah, Coursera is good, yes, but certain subjects good, certain subjects still not so good. That is today. But technology is advancing at such a pace. Tomorrow is going to be very different. Tomorrow is going to be very, 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 very different. All right. And that is something that we need to realize. We really need to realize how is it going to be. Because the knowledge out there is so much more than the knowledge in here. All right. So, Edu 4.0, why needed? Future skills. People are living longer, which later I will show you some statistics. The recent census 2022, millennial mindset. Millennial mindset, very unique. Millennial mindset. Over in Western society, the need to drive, no more. A lot of people don't feel that a car is needed anymore, which is shaking a lot of car manufacturers and the industry. The young today find, I don't need what? I can take Grab, right now. So this is the millennial mindset, all right? It is changing. It's totally changing. The general big industry, like the automotive industry, is now being shaken at its core because people are not buying cars. So what do? They need to target differently. They need to look at it in such a way that will encourage a market or the current market to buy more expensive cars. Digital networks and devices, personal data, collaboration platforms, working with each other, talent investment, shared content, and it goes on. I do not want to read one by one. Okay, I like this anywhere, anytime. For 2 years, guys, all of you have done it. Before that, we are saying ridiculous gate, cannot. We must come to school to teach. 18 March 2020, the day that will live in infamy. All of you will never forget, right? Not. We started teaching from home. Okay. First week, what happened? Sweating, right, you all? Students also cannot hear you, cannot see you, camera not working, slow. But today, professional already. Not only professional, can do much better. Some students also, based on statistics, have shown that online the grades became better. Okay, so what are we trying to say? Okay, what has happened? And it goes on, and it goes on. All right. Now, so based on that, based on what we have seen, this is what is happening to the environment. Okay. Now let's come down to us. So what we see, the market, external forces really changing. We cannot stay still. We cannot in our way just be happy with where we are. Okay, because of this lah. I told you earlier, Malaysia very unique. 32 million population, 467 private higher learning institutions. Over in UK, I did some rough reading. Over in UK, if I'm not wrong, 167 or 170 universities and private higher institutions, including the universities, 360 only. We have 467, not counting the 20 public universities. Okay. To target population of 32 million, all right, which also has a aging, which is experiencing aging and aging society. Less children. So this is simple equation. Later I will talk a little bit about it. Simple equation. Many competitors, the pie, divide. We take one piece. Traditionally, less people take a piece. Now so many people take a piece. Your piece becomes smaller. Inflation, cost going higher. Not only if the pie continues to grow bigger, different. The pie is not growing bigger. All right. And to a certain extent, it is shrinking, aging population. And previously, the part of the pie was foreign students. Now foreign students don't come. Where are the China students? They go to Australia, they go to UK. Previously, China students like to come to Malaysia, which is good for us, very good. Why? Because during that time, their economic growth allowed not many to go to the more Western society, universities due to cost. So they come to Malaysia because it was the best of all worlds. We have Asian kind of culture. Fees were affordable. They still can get their Chinese food and so on. So it was pretty good. Today's Chinese population totally changed. When they reach 17 years old, many of them would have already traveled around the world with their parents. Studying art in Paris is a norm, nothing new to them. So our catchment, our group of students shrinking. What happened to our Indonesian students? used to be a big market. For those of you who still can remember, correct? Huh? Indonesians, Chinese, where are they now? Okay. So what do we do based on this? 20 public universities. And our public universities also now going for foreign student, going for private student. How? And we are competing with them. And out of these 467 private higher institutions, 47 private universities. There are 47 private universities in Malaysia. 47. You look at the list. We can only think, if I ask you to think, you may think of 10, but there are 47. Then we have 34 university colleges and 10 foreign university branch campuses too. And the rest, 4, 6, 7 minus 47 minus 34 minus 10 will be your colleges, institutes, and so on. So this is the reality in our country. All right. So when we talk about transformative, is for us to understand changing. This is what industry wants. Students are evolving. Market is changing. Competition is rampant. Normal source of students shrinking. So what do we need to do? Are we going to give up? Of course not. We don't just give up, do we? No. We need to be innovative. We need to be creative. We need to synergize. That is the key word here, guys. We need to synergize. Synergize between expertise. Nobody said business and engineering cannot come up with a program. Nobody said that. Business and computing, that one memang got lah. Business and games, engineering and games, nursing and engineering. Something, guys, that we will need to create. We need to be creative. We need to think out from the box to be competitive. We need to implement this transformative learning. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to give you a 10-minute break. Please take a break. I know some of you need to run to the loo. Me. All right. So take a 10-minute break. It is 10:12 at the moment. Please come back at 10:22 and we'll continue. Okay, guys? Show of hands. All right. Good. Okay, good. All right, guys. 10:22. Hello. Jehan, you got your morning Milo already not? Normally during my trainings, you have your Milo and cereal, right? Oh, today coffee. Okay, okay, okay. Okay. All right. So statistics in education statistics in Malaysia already tells you that. And this further in a way drives us to really look into the way that we deliver and the way that also we will want to restructure our products. Okay, our products and services to our market. Okay. Now, the next part I'm going to speak about is this thing called the future of higher education in a disruptive world. What is the future? This is now, I'm going to look at it in a more holistic way, manner, and then it's going to cover a wider scope of higher education. Okay, so there are actually three key aspects here: the end of the golden age of universities, disruption is underway in higher education, and transforming and optimizing universities. Okay, the first thing we're going to look at here is the end of the golden age of universities. Rising tuition fees. Okay, fees are high. All right, in education. Now, general statistics over here that I got does not only cover these are international statistics, but they also in a way impact our Malaysian market. Spiraling students debt, escalating administration costs, and doubts about higher education return on investment. All right. Over in Europe and also in America, there is doubts about what is the main value or the value on higher education on ROI, the amount that you spend the time versus the jobs and so on. Of course, there are certain jobs that are still very much you need to have that formal education. All right, medicine and so on. But there are many others that may not. So there is question on this manner. So in reading, you will find that we need to look at higher education as not only just that paper qualification, but the whole experience that the student goes through, the experience that transformed them from unmolded clay into one that is then ready for the industry. That is very important. So it is the process itself, not just the paper qualification. So when a person goes to a 3-year, 4-year, 5-year degree, their goal is not just that paper qualification, it is the whole process. As they always say, the journey is as or even more important than the final destination itself. Okay, that is why people fly first class or business class. The journey, not so much about the destination. Okay, so when we look into this, there are certain key aspects that we can actually discuss on. One is the declining value, soaring student debt. Okay, if you look at PTPTN loans and so on, in Malaysia, I would dare say the general regulation on payment can be a little bit lax. But one day it is going to, of course, tighten down, and you will find students graduating and having many years of loans in front of them. Okay, so the general aspect of value, is it then valuable to have a formal education, formal degree, and so on. The whole aspect of a university degree and how it is now taking a back seat is something that is happening in Western societies. But when you look into the general trend, will it then come here? So we need to be ready, we need to be ready to accept these changes. We need to be ready to see that in the future, our students may see less value in formal degrees itself. Currently, if you look at Malaysia, the way it is driven, parents are still in their mind a very traditional sense of thought. Finish 17 years, after that must go. My role is done when they get their degree, then out of the house. Okay, so they still feel that the role is until there, majority, not all. So until and when that thought changes, we are still at times in our comfort zone. That is where I am afraid. Who knows, with things that are happening, that comfort zone may totally change. It will change when industry changes. When industry accepts students without formal degrees more openly, where employment, as I stressed earlier on, does not say minimum requirement a degree, then you will see the change over there. All right. Currently, today is still that. As I stressed earlier on, that is the easiest way to gauge a person's ability to learn. But it is not the most accurate way. It is easy because it is very qualitative. In such a manner, quantitative, sorry, in such a manner, you can just see that particular parchment and it tells this person has a degree. Okay. Spiraling costs but limited funding. Many have reached the point where creating larger classes and limiting subject choices are meeting consumer resistance. So this is another aspect of universities. The cost is spiraling. I'm putting that in because I want to explain to you our organization also the same. So because cost is going up, we cannot offer so many electives. So we are in a catch-22 situation. We know students need to have choice. This is what even the Prime Minister said earlier on. We should give them a variety, make them be multi-skilled electives. However, on the cost sense, if I have one course with many electives and the electives only 2 student, 3 student electives, do I run? Sakit kepala. You see? So this is what the spiraling cost. And what has happened is to curb this spiraling of costs, institutions don't give electives or very, very little, very low electives. All right. Or even what happens is by doing so, the classes become bigger. So when the classes become bigger, economies of scale is there and things become more efficient for us. 2. 3. Digital competition. Depending on the region of the world, e-learning is expected to enjoy a compound annual growth rate 7.5 to 10.5% between 2018 and 2024. So what we see is e-learning. E-learning, they say it will grow. Definitely, especially from 2020 itself and how it impacted the way that we see education itself. Okay, so this will now impact universities. All right, universities as a sense of a place of knowledge where people come to learn. Now this is happening. Value going down. People's perception. Is it? Do I need to go? Okay. Do I really need to go? Must I go? You know. 2. The cost of funding. Okay, where this is what we see. All right, so because things are so expensive, we offer less. Market may not want. 3. Digital competition. So now what we see is smaller institutions are more ready to change because they're smaller. There is less red tape. Once there's less red tape, they're able to change. They're being more innovative, and because it's digital, they can impact or they can cover the whole world. So they are now being competitors. Big universities, competitors used to be universities itself. Now there could be many different aspects of institutions. This is what is it? The end of the golden age of universities. Number 2, disruption is underway in higher education. So the second key aspect here, there is a key disruption in higher education. One is, the first thing is the fourth industrial revolution, a fusion of exponential technologies where silicon and carbon meets. So when we talk about the fourth industrial revolution as what we speak earlier on and what is demanded over there, universities need to be abreast. Let's call ourselves a university. This is a disruption in us. We need to go out from the traditional. We need to ready our students. Are we ready? Do we have the expertise? How do we go? Is this very unique catch-22 situation? You want to change, you need investment. You got no investment, you cannot change. You see? So chicken or egg kind of thing. We need to be ready to do that. But I always look at it this way. Before we start on thinking about buying, spending money, let's look at the resources we have internally. Let's look at the resources we have in Penang, in college, and in UG. How do we, in a way, synergize our resources? Synergize in such a way that you will benefit. This to overcome or to impact the fourth industrial revolution about the way that is demanded or what is demanded by the industry itself. 2, the ability to transform will be critical for all education institutions to cultivate so that they can shape and respond to a changing world of education. So it is us, we must be ready to change. We must be ready to adapt. Actually, it's not so much on ready. All of you know, you already put the answers earlier on when we did the quiz. It is, are we wanting to? Do we want to? What kind of resistance? Because change is always met with resistance. And the thing about change is change has a lot of effort. You need to put effort to change. It is not easy. For many of you who have been teaching for many years, like myself per se, we've been doing for so many years. Even the change in syllabus, the change in textbook, sometimes the first thing we react is must redo notes, must redo. So it's tired because when you're so used to doing the same thing, it is just a repetition, repetition. I've been doing certain things so often that I do not need to reread and so on. So I become complacent. All right, I become complacent. All right. So now this change should be critical for all, and this is really disrupting. Okay, and this change will this overcoming this change will require guidance and require good leadership. That is something that I totally feel that must be there. Good leadership by the school, good leadership by individuals, good leadership by those who stand up to take leadership roles. Leadership roles does not need to be appointed. It could be taken on in such. So in reality, sometimes even me and you, we can just in a way take the lead to say that maybe certain things certain schools can do with certain schools, certain things we can do in our school to further make us more relevant. It's all about relevancy. If you come out with a product that the market doesn't want, you are no more relevant. When you are no more relevant, it sounds so bad, right? Not you're no more relevant, nobody wants you. So that is a reality that we have to accept when you're no more relevant. So we need to make sure we always stay relevant. Okay. I always tell my guys over here, whatever you do in my department or whatever, always make sure you want somebody to owe you. Don't owe people. You want people to owe you. Utang. Utang doesn't mean money. Okay? Because sometimes they say, hey, Gabe, do we need to do this? Do we need to do this for them? They can do it on their own. I say, no, no, no. At the end of the day, we do it for them. Make them owe us. You are relevant. They can't do it, you can do it, so you are relevant. So in case there's any shake up when somebody needs to leave, you won't leave because you are relevant. My psycho management principles. All right. 3, good strategy. Demographic changes. This one, of target market. Okay, demographic changes are also underway that influence everything deeply. Some jurisdictions have aging populations, low fertility rates, and a shrinking support ratio of working age people 25 to 64 versus those 65 and older. Now, this is important, demographic changes. Later, I'm going to show you after this slide, changing demographic percentages in Malaysia. We need to be realistic. This is nothing racial and so on. We need to be realistic because we need to change our target market. I have been telling them we need to change. We need to be fast to change. We don't change, we die. Okay. So next one, 4. Universities have experienced this in various ways. Declining domestic enrollment in the US have been partly offset by growing international numbers. Okay, so what we see, a lot of universities, due to the shrinking demographics, they have international numbers coming in. So Malaysia also same, all right, 487 total institution, private and public. Our demographic shrinking, so we look at international but now international not coming also. So how? Sakit lah. Okay, so this is what we need to look at. So when we look into the disruption is underway in higher education, I want to emphasize on this, the demographics. Now, guys, look at this. I have some basic statistics here that I've taken. These are official statistics, not plucked from Sky one. 1970, 2000, you just look at our breakdown of demographics. Now, first of all, let's be realistic. We are a private institution. Traditionally, we target the non-boomy market. Okay? We target the non-boomy market. Our boomy market has been slow, to say the least. And over in Penang, frankly, I've seen the statistics is even slower than UG. Okay, so now UG is slowly pushing up, and generally UOW Malaysia KDU is changing their strategy. You have to change. The figures speak for itself. The figures speak for itself. You cannot run away from figures and statistics. Just look at the percentage over here. We used to target the non-booming market. I'll just use the word Chinese market, just as an example. The shrinking population from percentage of 36 all the way to today, all right, 22 already tells you that in the span of 50 years, 33% shrinking. And this tells you that we as a business, we need to strategize. We really need to strategize. The way that we approach, the way that we do our programs, the way that we structure needs to look in the way that it will keep us relevant. Remember, it's relevancy. It's relevancy. All right. So this is what it needs to. Now, I can safely say our marketing under Mitchell have been doing this. All right. That is the marketing side. Good. Now, do we also need to look at the program aspect on how it is being approached and so on? Because the product itself is us. This is the product. How are we then going to target a certain group? Is there, I do not have the answer, is there certain ways for us to structure? I understand it is difficult or it is uncomfortable for us to speak on the matter pertaining to targeting by race. All right, because we look at Malaysia as one. All right, but the reality is such that for us to survive, sometimes we need to do targeting, okay, racial targeting to a certain extent. So this is where we need to question. All right, if the market that traditionally you have been targeting is shrinking and no foreign students are coming, slow, then we need to back up, look at the products that we are giving, and we need to be realistic. And being realistic has nothing to do with what is good or bad, but to be able to change and adapt accordingly. Okay? Many of you would have seen the figures of our index in the past few cohorts. January numbers, March numbers. Have they been very positive? No, they haven't been very positive. And we cannot, in any way, in good faith, just maintain the way the numbers that we are getting. In all businesses, even a good restaurant, that food is very nice. But if customers are not coming, even though we know we have a good product, we always say to ourselves, we have a very good product. We have very good products. But if customer is not coming, the good product alone won't sustain the cost of running the business. So being realistic is there. Okay. Then we also have this. I'm going to show you this over here. Census 2020. Last year, 2 years ago, we did census kan? Banci. Okay. And what we found out is Malaysia heading towards an aging society. We are heading towards a really aging society. These are, look at the shrinking, below 15s. You may say, yep, below 15 is not our market. Like, yes, but below 15 will be 17, 18, 19. That will be our market. So if they are shrinking, no need to say lah. Right or not? Quite straightforward, right? This one. Figures don't lie. Figures don't lie. Figures don't lie. The only good point is if you're reading statistics is our private university, private institution, academic institutions have not been growing for the past 8 years. They already freeze the licenses. And yes, actually dropping. Previously it was like 500 over, now it's a little bit less and so on, but very minute because licenses has always been transferred to other people. But numbers are going down. You see, numbers are going down. And what is growing up? 65 and above. See, 65 and above. Twing, 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 twing. So guys, how can we ask them to come and study? They're growing market, they got EPF money, right or not? Is there a market over there? Who knows? Think transformative learning, okay? Transformative strategy. I don't know. Corporate, maybe people are working longer. And remember earlier on, the statistics say every individual will need roughly 101 days of training to be competitive today. So maybe we want to look at that. People who are working in the working industry, who are now working in middle management or in senior management, this is time that they need to be upscaled, training. Is that where we want to target? We, as UOW Malaysia KDU, we are a academic or educational institution. That doesn't mean we target only diploma degrees and whatnot. We can target many different methods. Micro-credentials, ODL programs, MOOCs, and so on. Okay? So these are some statistics that are clearly available. This is actually taken from, where did I get it from? I got this from Malaysia Kini, if I'm not wrong. I got this on Malaysia Kini. Okay, full. They actually tell very nicely over here. Population age 65 years and above. See what is the percentage? Perak has the highest aging population, and it goes down. Malaysia in average. Perak, Kedah, Perlis, Sarawak, Putrajaya is the lowest, of course lah. Okay, and it goes on and it goes on. Very, very, very interesting statistics. All right. So these statistics actually, now, why is it important for us to know about stats? Because stats generally is a very good forecast. If numbers are dropping now, if in the past 5 years, growth, I mean, what they call that, birth rates are down, or those age 15 and below are low, then it will tell you, because when they become 17, they become your market, is going to be low. You cannot just create up the numbers. Okay, you just can't add in 10% or 20%. It doesn't work that way. All right, so this already, in a way, it is like a crystal ball lah. It really tells us what is going to happen. It's telling us what is going to happen already. So now we need to strategize. So if everybody is fighting for the same pie, we need to make sure our attraction is more than our competitors. That is what I'm trying to stress. What our competitors are doing, we need to be better than them so that people will want us. Okay, so now we need to think of how do we become better than tailors, how do we become the Sunway, and so on. But the thing is this: when we change our strategy, we are so happy. Yes, we change. They are also changing. They are also evolving. Okay, so if it takes 5 weeks for us to change the strategy and 3 weeks for them to change, then they will have one up. They will have 2 weeks advance over us. So now we ourselves need to understand this. We know the problem. They also know the problem. We are doing transformative learning aspects. They are also doing transformative learning aspects. Tailors are also doing micro-credentials. All big universities are also doing micro-credentials, ODLs. So what will make us different from them? Okay, what will make us different from them? That is what is important that we will need to see. Okay. The age of the customer demands personalized education. So what we see, customers today want personalized education. They want education that is special, that is unique, that is for them, that is what they want. So as I said, they may want engineering and broadcasting. Okay, it's like a double degree, engineering. I want to do engineering, but I have a big interest in broadcasting or media or something like that. And this is something that we will really need to adapt. We would really need to, in a way, try to come out with products that will attract this group of individuals, because if we don't, we are going to lose out. Okay. So here is something I find it very interesting. This is on the aspect on what is student experience. So when we talk about students buying a product, what is the product that the students is actually buying? Okay, students is actually buying this. The student experience, SX over there, is an equation. It is the customer experience, which is the student, the customer, which adds in learner experience and personalized experience. Customer, learner, and personalized are 3 different experiences a person gets. We may have over here in UG very good program, but if the customer experience is horrible in A and B, for example I'm using, I'm not saying A and B is bad, I say example. Very good teachers, they love the teachers, but when they go and pay fees, every time gonna scolded. Aya, why you pay late again? No money, or something like, or whatever lah. Okay. What happens? That is called the customer experience. And that will impact the learner experience, because the student experience, the totality will go down. All right. And the personal experience is the experience this person gets with other people. When you guys were in university, some of you have been in university many years ago. And then when I ask you, hey, I want you to think of your university days many years ago. And what comes into your mind that makes you smile? Then you may think, then you say, it was me and my friends lepaking under the fountain or something, or something stupid lah. That is called personalized experience. The experience that you get based on you in the university. So when we talk about student experience over here, guys, don't just think of the learning experience, The learning experience is only one context. As I said, The learning experience is only the one that the students go for class. It is the experience in the activities, SAC, and so on. That's why SAC plays such a critical role, you know. SAC, our department, I mean over in Penang, you call it differently lah, but it's called the student services. They play such an important role because that makes the whole experience of the student. Haven't you noticed when MQA comes and do audit, if you look at a program audit, one key aspect, not only the program, but they also look at SAC, they even interview the student council, right? Not? Why interview the student council, right? Not? What's so important? Because student experience, student representation, all play a very important role in student experience. Is what the students will get during their time in the institution. Okay, so I always look at it this way. I have this basic theory. It's a very cheap theory, maybe because I'm cheapskate. I always look at it is our product, if we cannot change, any product we cannot change, this is our product, our cost. This is all we give. This is what we're giving. We can make it better by spending money. You can always spend money and make things better one. You want to buy a car, you spend 40,000, you get a car, a very good car, a Saga, a Proton Saga. Hey guys, it's a very good car, let me tell you, I love driving it. You spend 400,000, you also can get a car. Will it be a better car than a Saga? Yes, of course, but you spend 400,000. How many of us have 400,000 to spend? Okay, so this is the program that we have offered. When your head of school developed the program or approved of the program, there are many contexts that he wanted that impacted his decision. Of course, he may want the best. I want the best equipment, best this, best that, but then the cost is crazy. So he will or she, not being sexist, he or she, okay, have decided to offer this program at this level. It may not be the best that he wants, nor is it the worst, but it is the most efficient based on the resources available. This is what they're giving. All right? Okay? Because of what we have. So now, this is the program that we have. Let's not look at improving it by spending a lot of money. Let's look at it by improving it on the customer experience and the personalized experience and the learner experience of the student. Okay? That is as important, that will impact the student experience in the long run. All right? Customer, learner, personalized will impact the student's experience. So, if my lab is already good, but not the best in Malaysia, my engineering lab, but my teachers are very caring, my teachers give good support, that will increase the student's experience. Because this equation is like this. If the learner experience based on equipment, KDU is a 6 over a 10. Taylor's is a 7, they got better equipment. But the personalized experience, the teachers in KDU very caring. We get an 8 over the one in Taylor's. Good teachers, but maybe not so friendly, get a 6. So if you add it up, we are still 1 point higher. And that impacts the student experience. Okay, so this is called augmenting the product. Product augmentation is when we put in additional aspects to a product that doesn't impact cost, okay, in a manner. So normally it is the service that you'll give. We here at our institution is well known for the service that we give our student. For the teachers I'm talking about teachers, I'm talking about the academic sense. TLC, I better talk on academic sense only. The pastoral care is well known. Many of you go out and beyond your call of duty to assist the student. And I salute you. Please continue. That could be the reason or one of the key reasons on student staying with us and student telling their friends. I have heard this and I'm quoting my colleagues telling me, hey, I got student from other institution come to us and so happy, you know. Why? They say in other institutions they cannot speak to the lecturers if they have any problems one. Cannot one. Very cold. Okay, check the lecturers don't even treat them well one. Here they can open up, express their challenges to the lecturers, and the lecturers will come and assist them. So the students, that is the key thing over there, the personalized experience, which will impact the total experience itself. So the reason why I'm stressing on this is because we need to be realistic, guys. Transformative learning, going out, meeting the needs of the market, structuring or changing the way our students think doesn't mean we need to spend thousands and thousands of dollars. Look at what we have. That's why, as I said, let's synergize between departments. If between departments we can synergize, we create a very unique customer experience, learning experience, then the total experience of the students can be improved. Okay, so this is what I want to emphasize on. Let's try to look at that. Okay, this was taken from a KPMG international site. They have this article on the future of higher education in a disruptive world, as where I took the notes from, and I find it brilliant. Why? Because these people did the research for us. All right, I just want to emphasize it to our context here at UOW Malaysia KDU. Okay. So what we see over here, recent years, there's been talk the sector about blended and flexible learning. All right, but the reality has been that online resources have supplemented the dominant mode of delivery, which was synchronous and in person. So for many years already, blended has been there. Blended has been many years in the talking. People tried to introduce, but it was never popular. You know why never popular? Because face to face was always there. Synchronous in person was always there. So recently, through the pandemic, it really pushed onto this. The acceptance of blended is now there. Everybody accepts blended learning. Even to the fact that for us as our institution, we are now an institution that practices 30% minimum blended delivery in each and every one of our course. Okay, every course that we do is blended. Okay, that means it can be a mixture of using technology or face-to-face and so on. Okay, so what we are trying to say here is sometimes a challenge, or I would say a negative aspect can have a positive element into it. So when we talk about the 18th of March 2020, that day itself, it did have a little bit of a positive element on the teaching aspect and on the acceptance of technology. So the acceptance were there, the readiness of the student, they had no choice. So once they accept, they felt that it was in a way that is the way to go, or they can accept that method, and now it becomes a norm. Okay, so that is what we were looking at on that part. Next will be transforming and optimizing universities. Many higher education institutions around the world are at or fast approaching a crossroads that will define their future in terms of strategy and operating models. All right. So like us also, we are reaching a stage where we are already questioning where do we go next, guys? Where do we go next? School of Business have already their approved online distance learning program. Their MBA is ODL. They are, I believe, submitting diploma, or no, they have already submitted, waiting for final approval. A levels over in Penang on an ODL method. Now, why do you think this is? We are not doing this just for fun, all right? Because this needs to be done. This needs to be done to ensure that we stay competitive. But my question can be, is it we doing what other people are doing the way? You see, ODL method is there. Those products that we want to do are already there. Open University, Wawasan, AEU, Asian A University, they are all online, virtual in nature. They are already doing it. And because that is their method, they do it well. They do it well. Are we competing in the right market? This is where I want you all to think. If you have ideas, guys, you guys are creative people. You guys have a lot of ideas. You meet people, you read. If you have ideas, please speak to your department reps, your head of schools, or if you yourself make the decision, you are a decision maker. Be daring to take the challenge of introducing something unique. Don't worry if it may sound ridiculous. A lot of things may sound ridiculous at the initial stage. 50 years ago, if you tell people plain water in a bottle can make money, people will laugh at you. On tap, sudah ada. Look at our mineral water business at the moment. It is a multi-billion-dollar industry. Okay, Look at that. Plain water. What's wrong with the tap? How you market it, lah, right? At the end of the day, is how you market it. So this is something which transforming and optimizing universities. Look at the resources that we have. How do we then take the next step? Where do we go? Okay. So what are the key things? Number one, borderless. Okay. So now competitors will not be only the people next to you. Our competitor is no more Taylor's Sunway. It is also Singapore universities. It's also Chinese universities. It's also American universities because things are now borderless. Okay, you cannot travel, fair enough, but now it is online. You can do your online degree from a British university. Okay, number two, sorry, we may want to look at shorter courses and degrees, duration itself. Okay, segment it. That is why now what is popular? APEL, accreditation of prior experiential learning. Okay, 2018, FLC, for example, 2018, they launched pretty slow. Then after that, now suddenly very, very rampant, push up crazy. During the MCO time, the interest on FL programs and processes crazy, off the roof. There's so many requests, so many questions, so many people asking. Even the officers that we speak under Apple in MQA also say, wah, tiba-tiba interest banyak. Why? People realize, hey, now I'm at home. I have this. Maybe I should study. Maybe I should do this. I should upskill myself. I cannot do that. Oh my God, maybe I'll lose my job. I need to upskill myself. That is the strategy. That is where we are going. We used to have Apple A, assess, C, credit transfer. Now got Q, qualification. The high now is a Q. We are not a Q center, but there is Q now. Certain institutions already got Q. We are not going that pathway. All right. So why are we not going that pathway? Resources. All right. Maybe we don't have the resources. What is Q? Q is where a person gets accreditation of prior experiential learning for the whole program. Qualification. They go through a process. Once they go through a stringent process, very stringent, I want to quote that, they can be awarded the qualification. They can be awarded a qualification. But it's not as easy as just an interview. They need to write paper, they need to show evidence, so on, so on, and so on. So it's actually a very stringent process. But that is what's happening. So are universities ready? 3, digitally native cohorts. Okay, young people, they are now digitally native. All right. So this is where I want to also stress one. I give you one good example. Students do assignment online. They do research online. They type out their assignment using Microsoft Word. Everything is done work in such a manner. But final exam is still written. It's really unfair for the student because basically we are using a medium that they are not used to anymore. All right, because now the students are digitally native. So if we still practice the traditional sense of doing examination by writing, during our lesson, we still need to make sure students write. If not, for 14 weeks, they are just doing everything through the computer, and suddenly the examination is a sit-down 3 hours written essay. Have you tried doing 3 hours written essay if you have not written for many, many months? Your hand, after 15 minutes, will cramp already, All right. So basically, that is just a simple example that I have observed. Okay, sometimes when I go to exam hall, I see students suffering through tangan ini macam lah, itu macam lah, because they don't use it. Okay, it's same as us. When I don't write much, suddenly I write, I can't even understand what I'm writing. So look at our cohort over here. So as universities, this is really shaking us. The target audience that we have now are all digitally natives. For us, we were not natives. I mean, for me, I was not a native. It was very much adapted into. I evolved into digitization. But these people were born with digitization itself. 3, experiential learning. Experiential learning is very important. There is going to be a big demand for growth. Demand will grow for learning by doing. That's called experiential learning. You learn through doing. All right, there has been a big change in the way that people think on the value of experiential learning itself. This is very much forced into the if you look at the European, or I would say the German style of education, where they have this thing called the apprenticeship scheme. People that are 13, 14 years old will go up to the industry and start working, and then from there they will learn, and then after that they can continue with their education and so on. There is a lot of merits to it, which countries have started looking at to find that it is actually important. Over in Malaysia, recently there's also been an emphasis on the vocational pathway. I think you all would have noticed, the vocational pathway. There was a time where the government started pushing, hey guys, this pathway is actually good. Previously, the vocational pathway was always seen as an option for those who cannot go to the traditional pathway. You go vocational. You tak boleh belajar kah? Vocational. Now different. Now it is where those who want or look at it as an interest. So this, as us universities, we as a university are designed on the traditional pathway. We are not designed on a vocational pathway or on experiential learning aspects. Okay, because the way that we do it is in such a manner. That could be something that we may want to look into. Once the recognition of this kind of qualifications, they are already there. All right, so that could be an avenue to look into. All right. Next, lifelong learning. All right, this is another aspect, another key aspect or key thing that is impacting universities. What we see is the importance of lifelong learning and how the companies are putting emphasis on their staff to continue and upgrading themselves. Okay, companies who want staff to stay, they will invest in the staff to stay, invest in them in their education and in their growth. That is lifelong learning. How can we reap on this growth over there? As remember, I shown earlier at the initial slides, how can we benefit from this? How can we structure our program, structure our offering to students? When your role doesn't mean you teach in a degree or diploma, you can also be focusing on professional development, right? Okay, and this is a big avenue over there. Maybe that is something that we will really need to look into, all right, to really emphasize on it. Next, another thing is competing on scale. Competing on scale, because now we are going online, is what we see here is using online platforms. Small institutions can also compete with the big boys. Small institutions can also compete with the big boys. So we cannot neglect the small colleges and where they are going. All right. When we look at our competitors and what they are doing, don't just think about the big boys. Look at the small boys also, because the whole playing field has changed. Previously, the playing field was, I got such a big campus, I just bring students, come, I show you my campus. They look at my campus, wow, beautiful, I join you. Now no more, because now what the students see is online. If they go online and even a small institution, the page is efficient, is fast, reply is good, they will go. A simple test is this, no, guys. I'm being naughty, I'm just being very naughty over here. Come up, open a Yahoo Mail that it is unique, or I would say just very special one. Write to 5 institutions, private institutions, UOW, us, Taylor's, Sunway, and maybe another 2 more. Ask them the same question. How much is your business cost and blah, blah, blah. Same, huh? Same time you send, same time, not same question, using the same avenue to their general email. Then you wait. Which one replies you first? You see I'm trying to go? You may be amazed. The small institution may reply you with the most beautiful email. Thank you, sir, for your time and effort in writing to us, blah, 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 blah. We as people in the know, we know this is just a test. 99% of the public will see that as, whoa, very fast. I will start communicating. Once the person is already walked into the door, not 100% they will buy, no. But then the personal selling can push that person to buy. If we are late to reply, the person don't even walk through the door, how good your personal selling is, no point, because the customer is not there. You see what I'm trying to say? So this is what we need to look at. Even the websites and so on, even the small players are now our competitor, because we are not competing on just facilities. We are not competing on how beautiful our building is. We are competing about on the individual, on a different field of competition at the moment. And of course, we have lifestyle integration. Here, what we look at here is students will also now involve, not only do they study, they want the whole experience. So they want a learning experience that will involve many different aspects of growth, not only cognitively thinking, but also in their experiential learning. So the immersive experience that they go through in that learning is something which we should also need to consider. So all of these things are really impacting education, guys. All right. So by looking at those, how many aspects over there, 7 key aspects over there, we need to ask ourselves, are we ready? Are we ready to do this? Okay, how are we going to go to our next stage of being transformative? How do we transform? Because if we don't, we will suffer. Now, I have this Taylor's University. We're talking about Taylor's University. I've already put it in already, even before you guys, majority of you, put innovation as Taylor's University. I'm going to click. I hope it goes. Okay. Oh, sudah buka. Yes. Sekejap ah. It's now opening. This is, hey guys, you don't show this to my boss. I'm not selling Taylor's University. I'm just being respectable to a very good competitor. Okay. Taylor's University, Taylor's Curriculum Framework, TCF. I like TCF. I learned TCF also. Okay. So what they do is they give choice to students to, in a way, select things which they are interested in. The core knowledge is there. You do business, you still do your core knowledge business, but they give avenue for the students to take certain credits which are not their core knowledge. If an engineering student would want to do pastry, by all means go ahead. If an engineering student would want to do computer programming or games, by all means go ahead. This is what it is. It's innovative. It is forward looking. It is something they introduced many years ago. It is not recent, correct, right? How many of you have seen this? Have you seen this? Guys, seen this or not? This is what they've been having quite a few years. Now, for them to do this, very good planning, inter-school planning, yes, US unis, yes. But I'm talking about our competitor lah. US one a bit far. So this one, they can do it structured. Do they need resources to do this? Yes, they need a lot of resources. They need to fix time. It's like MPU lah. MPU schedules fixed. They need to be very strict on certain offerings and so on. But what is the benefit of this? I look at it not from the operational side. I look at it from the student's benefit side. You are developing a holistic student that will be able to see things in a different manner. Okay? Not under their own eyes, in a way that they see things only in their own context, in their own discipline. Sometimes it's very important to see challenges. Let's say this is a challenge from different perspective, from different schools. Okay, if we are only surrounding ourselves from one discipline, then forever we will see that problem from only one angle. And having that one problem from one angle will not give us a worldview. A worldview is seeing things from many different perspectives. Do I like what Taylor's is doing? Yes, I do. Is it feasible for all institutions? No, it's not. Okay, but I think it is something which is looking at the demands of the market. This is what the market actually looks into, and how they are trying to adapt to it. All right, how they're trying to adapt to it. Is it been very popular? I mean, what is the take up? Maybe at the initial stage has been slow. I would not doubt, because majority of the student is, hey, I just want to graduate first. But what has happened now? Students' perspective are changing. I foresee that is the way to go. that is the way to go. Fix electives and so on. And students like choice. Okay, they like choice. We over here have a very, 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 very good team of A-level lecturers. Very good team. World champion, this, that, and so on. Top in the world. Our students, fabulous. Sunway does A-levels. Their numbers are crazy. Okay, numbers a lot. Why? We are also good, but why our numbers are not high? What are they doing? Choice. Student got a lot of elective over there. Like over in Taylor's, got a lot of elective. Can do this, can do that here. Ours here, not so much electives, very structured. Oh, student come, oh, uni can do this, that. Can I do French? No, I'm sorry, we don't have. Can I do this? I'm sorry, we don't have. And activities. Okay, so that is a factor also, because you need to understand the students today, they want different aspects, they want to see different things. Previously, when we don't give choice last time, many years ago, no problem. Students go, yes, this is what I want. My mind, I want to do this, biology, chemistry, physics, and maths, that's all. But now it's different. Now students are exposed to very different elements. Okay, okay? So, that is on the universities itself. So now I'm going to touch about open and distance learning and micro credentials. All right, these are now more active, more practical, more, I would say, directly involved. These are what we are doing in transformative learning. What we are doing, okay, in transformative learning. A lot of the information that we have, that I have, I'm going to share with you all over here, official information from MQA itself. Okay, so what is open and distance learning? ODL refers to the provision of flexible education opportunities in terms of access and multiple modes of knowledge acquisition. All right, so ODL is about access. That are in Malaysia, very, very structured. Malaysia, for those of you who are not in the know, if you want to offer ODL programs, you need to follow a guideline, very strict guideline. Actually, in Malaysia, they have only a few institutions can offer ODL programs. We are called traditional conventional delivery institutions. We cannot offer ODL. We cannot offer. Only certain universities can offer ODL programs. But last year, or was it end of previous year, maybe 2001, I can't remember, or was it end of 2020, the government allowed traditional institutions like us to offer ODL programs because it was during the COVID times, okay, the pandemic times. So they allowed us to offer ODL. So for us, traditional, we went into ODL for certain courses. That is where business school were the pioneers in pushing out two courses, two programs. Okay. So we talk about ODL, flexible means and availability of choice for education endeavors anywhere, anytime, and anyhow. Online, open and distance learning. All right, so it is open, it's very flexible. People from other states and so on can come in and join and do their classes. Access means opportunity made available to all, freeing them from constraints of time and place. So no need to travel, all right, and also on time, because ODL, if it is a MOOC in ODL, the student will just need to make sure they complete their task to ensure completion of that particular CLO. All right, it could be face-to-face synchronous classes at times, or it could be totally MOOC where the students will just achieve it on their own. Multiple modes means the use of various delivery systems and learning resources. So it's multiple modes. ODL doesn't mean only synchronous. It can be I doing with you a class face-to-face, online, synchronous, virtual. It could be MOOC, it could be assignments, and so on. So that is what ODL is. Okay. More and more traditional universities are transforming from single mode to dual mode universities, recognizing the importance of distance education in providing greater flexibility, accessibility, and up-to-date education resources. So what we see is many institutions have started offering, especially in Malaysia, because we've been given the green light to offer ODL. So we also do lah. But as I said earlier on, if we do and we're doing what the seafoods are doing, the open universities are doing, the wawasan are doing, tak boleh lah, tak boleh. They are already doing it for so many years. They are already masters. Okay, we are infant. So if you go in, you need to shake the market. How do you shake? You must be either very, very cheap, so cheap that people will come to you. Cheap, murah. Or you must give something so good that they're willing to pay for you. Okay, what is so good? Finish your degree in 5 months. That's very good lah. Or something, or whatever. Okay, something, or the course itself, the program must be very, very unique. So that is what it is. Okay. Do we see this growing? Definitely. Definitely is growing. Definitely is growing. All right. Once your reputation starts growing, more people will start signing up for ODL programs, and this is where it will grow. Through ODL, we are witnessing the mushrooming of massive open online courses. For those of you who have heard MOOC but do not know what it means, it is called Massive Open Online Courses, or called MOOCs, modular short courses, and customized company trainings. Worldwide, there is an increase in the number of students enrolling in ODL programs. So there is a growth in ODL programs. Okay. ODL programs can be many, many different types. So this is where it starts growing. So like for business school, why do we do an MBA? Why did we not start launching a degree first? Because then MBA, when business school started thinking, they thought first thing, who our target market is going to be. Our target market are going to be, it's an MBA, business, working people and whatnot. And because now it's MCO, they cannot travel, they want a qualification. So MBA ODL will be the best pathway. If you see all the universities, the more established universities, you will see a lot of MBA ODL programs because they are also doing the same thing. Open universities, wawasan and whatnot. Also MBA programs. Okay? So what makes us special? Dr. Brian, Dr. Brian is our unique selling proposition, USP. So he is the face. So he could be the one, example. Okay, so we need to have a USP for our programs. Okay, faham ODL So that is where it's going. What about other schools? Are you all partaking in it? May not. Some schools may not want to go on this strategy. Some schools may want to go on this strategy. Some schools may not be able to do on this strategy on ODL because they are more practical based. Then a bit more challenging lah. Okay. A course of study is deemed an ODL program. Now, this is Malaysian MQA, so I just need to touch a little bit over here. A course of study is deemed as an ODL program if more than 60% of the course offered in the program are conducted via online, open, and distance learning. More than 60% of the program, more than that is ODL. Now, ODL doesn't mean 100%, only must be 100% online. Example, if you take a course in Open University or you take a course in Wawasan, they may require you to come back 1 month, one time for discussion. All right, come back to the institution, come back to the center. That is why OUM, Open University, they have many centers around Malaysia. So they may have a center, so you go there for discussion. Then either than that, the studies can be on your own, but then you go back there every week for discussion. All right. In order for a course to be considered as an ODL course, at least 80% of the student learning time must be delivered via open and distance mode. So if the course itself, individual course, 80%, more than 80% of the SLT must be open and distance, then it's regarded as a ODL course. Okay, this must be supported to regular and substantive interaction between the learner and the instructor and so on. So once we say ODL, guys, it doesn't mean we wash our hand. No. It means this is the method of running, but the support is still by the institution. The institution will also give support. So it is the students' learning mode will be through an ODL mode itself. Okay. Now, is it easy to do? A lot of people don't do well in ODL programs, so let me tell you that. Why? You need to be very disciplined. What is the kebaikan, the benefit of face-to-face? Discipline. You need to go for class. You need to do assignment. Teacher will bug you continuously. ODL, sometimes you don't go for class, first time you miss, second time you miss, third time you don't want to go already. You lost hope. Okay, sometime in a way. So you need to be motivated. So it's hand in hand. The institution must also play a very important role to facilitate the learning of the student. the learning of the student. So we as facilitators in ODL programs, we are there. One key role as facilitators is to facilitate students' learning, not the learning per se, the motivation in the learning. The motivation in the learning. That one quite challenging. Okay. Now, next is micro-credential. You heard about MC, right? What is a micro-credential? A micro-credential is this is under definition by UNESCO, term that encompasses various forms of certification, including nano degrees, micro-masters, credentials, certificate badges, licenses, and endorsements. So that is what a micro-credential is. It is what you read, all of these aspects. Now, let's go into a bit more detail. Is defined as digital certification of assessed knowledge, skill, and competencies in a specific area or field, which can be a component of an accredited program or standalone course supporting the professional, technical, academic, and personal development of the learner. All right. This definition underscores several key elements of micro-credentials under this guideline. Okay, so when we talk about MC, micro-credentials, this is a very, very popular term that has been overused, I would say. So what I say, oh, let's do a micro-credential and so on and whatnot. So basically, certain guidelines is a digital certification. You complete, you get a digital certificate. Knowledge, skills, or competency. So you will cover a particular skill or competency, a specific area or field, component of accredited program or standalone course, and serves professional, technical, academic, personal development interests of learners. Now, let me give you the lowdown. Micro-credential, when the government introduced, the first thing, the reason why they introduced was this, to develop the workforce who are not skilled in certain areas and cannot go to an institution. So the government started introducing micro-credentials. So what it means is this, at the initial stage, micro-credential is supposed to be like this. We, KDU, I call ourselves KDU, I don't want to say UOW Malaysia, KDU is too long, will do a research about the industry surrounding us, all the factories. Then we will, after doing the research, we find out that over here, there is a lack of a skill in this area. Let's say the skill is called office management, okay? Office management. Then we will introduce this skill in a micro-credential. All right, we do a micro-credential. It can be 12 hours, it can be 14 hours, it can be 16 hours, and so on, to meet the requirements of the industry that we have over here. That was the initial thought of the introduction of micro-credentials. The government had this in their idea. Many years already. Many years. Sometimes people call it short courses, this and that, and so on. It is to serve the professional or to serve the workforce. Okay? It is to serve the workforce. Now, when we look into that, then how did it grow? Then slowly that whole aspect of micro-credentials started to grow. It grew to an aspect that when certain people were saying that, hey, if I take these courses, can it be recognized for my degree? So there were more regulations or policies introduced to micro-credentials in Malaysia. Until, for those of you who are interested, you go to the MQA website, there is a micro-credential guidebook. Brilliant, very, very good. It actually explains to you in detail how micro-credentials are developed, how it should be developed, and how it should be offered. Okay, so in a nutshell, that is what it is. So in today's aspect over here, what we see is open learning as the LMS that we use is also, their expertise is actually on micro-credentials. Their expertise is on micro-credentials itself. So if you go to Open Learning's website, you will see that there are many different micro-credentials inside there by different universities. Some of them you learn for free, you certify, you pay money. Some of them, after you learn already, if you join the program in the university, their program, you can get credit transfer, CT. So this is what has actually happened to micro-credentials. The initial purpose was to train the workforce. Now it has been also used as a way to encourage the workforce to come back to take their formal education. So let's say I'm a diploma holder. I'm working in Shell, Malaysia. as a HR manager. I only have a diploma, but my work is taking a lot of my time. So I've been taking a lot of micro credentials from KDU. KDU got a lot of micro credentials I've been taking. After taking already, KDU have this system that these three micro credentials under accounting. If I pass these three, I can get credit transfer for accounting. You see where am I going? So the more I take in my free time, after I've taken quite a bit already, then with all the micro credentials I have from KDU, I now join the degree program in KDU. With all of this, I get credit transfer. Okay? Now, this encourages lifelong learning for the people. Okay, so you see the evolution from the initial purpose of micro-credentials to where it is now as to encourage lifelong learning for people to get their formal education. Traditionally, it was mainly to upscale a person for their job. My job, office management, I know good. I take the course, I'll be a better person, be a better worker that knows office management. Now, it also allows me to do my degree. That is micro-credentials. Okay, you understand? Huh? Now, because of its nature, you will find that many universities do. Many universities do. Take, for example, the large universities of Harvard and so on. They have their site of micro-credentials. Coursera is a micro-credential site, and many, many more. These are all micro-credentials itself. We can take our micro-credentials without flowing in through a program. I have taken a few micro-credentials on teaching and learning pedagogy. I've taken to learn lah, okay, to learn, because I wanted to know about theories and concept of teaching, which I do not have previously. So I take lah many years ago. Then learn, fine. 12 hours, pass, yay. But it's for my own interest. So I did not pay. I just got the knowledge, okay. But what is, I got no cert, no cert itself. So it will not be recognized. Nobody will know. I can tell KDU I did it. KDU asked me, where's your cert? Tada. Okay, so nothing. So what happens now is, the certification is important. So normally, how does the company make money? The company, because certification is important to prove that you have done it, the company will charge if you want the certification. So that is what a lot of companies are doing. I believe Coursera used to do that way. Study for free, you want quality certification, you pay. But now I know there are certain courses you need to pay beforehand before you can even learn in Coursera. I don't know how true is that. I haven't gone in for quite some time already. Okay, so those are micro credentials. Okay, so traditionally, higher education providers design and deliver academic, technical, and professional programs leading to awards or qualifications. These qualifications are designed to provide knowledge, skills, and values to students over 1 to 4 years. So traditionally, this is what we do. 1 to 4 years, you complete a program, you get certificate. Now, given the accelerating and disruptive changes in the national and global economy, the graduates and others in the workplace must acquire new knowledge and learn new technologies and skills throughout their career to remain productive. So now what we see is, this is what is happening. They need to be more productive, they need more skill. So, and the thing is, they want shorter, personalized, and demand-driven micro-credentials. That is why it is popular, because it is short. Okay, it is short and sweet. Now, this is where your earlier answer, when all of you asked, remember when I asked you the question, will the traditional university structure still be relevant in the future? 8 of you say no. 7 say yes, 8 no. Majority say no lah. It's because of this lah. Once institutions, once companies feel and find that micro-credentials is good, recognize, similar weight to a person with a degree, then the formal structure may die off. You see, the formal structure may die off. So that is where it shows. So that is where that needs to be seen. So when we talk about that, there is a lot of articles written to say that the future of formal degrees and so on may fade off due to the growth of this. And the good thing about this micro-credentials aspect is, if the acceptance and the recognition by the industry is high, Then individuals will then pick micro-credentials to only be what the industry wants. One of the pioneers of doing it was, if I'm not wrong, the Microsoft certification. Correct me if I'm wrong. I can't remember. Is it the Microsoft certification or is it the Google certification? Have you all heard about this? Where you can actually do a Microsoft a certificate or something like that. All right. And that is actually very recognized. Okay. Oh, you have that particular certificate. Okay. That was also many years ago. So this whole aspect is already been seen as important, especially for certain industries and sector. Maybe the tech Cisco, yes, Cisco also maybe will have it and whatnot. So once all of these carry more weight, more important, the Microsoft, the Cisco's, the this, the that, the whatever, slowly it will grow. Then you will see that people, I want a job, I want to grow. So what do? I may just follow this route lah. Follow the route that will actually mean me not needing to go to a formal form of education. This is something that I just want you all to think about. Okay, soon maybe not, but internationally, I foresee this as happening. I really foresee this. That is something which I have actually brought up to during our discussions, and I've really stressed that we need to be movers. We need to be movers to not just do micro credential for the sake of doing micro credential. We need to do micro credential for a purpose. It must be good. It must be in such, and we need to find out from the market. Ask the people who are hiring, what do you actually want? Ask the people who are hiring, will you recognize this micro credential that we are doing? Will you recognize this or not? We are going to specialize in something. Will you recognize? If the market say no, we still want degree, then we maintain degree lah. If they say yes, we will recognize that. That is very good. Then is where a lot of change will happen. Okay. Justification for micro credentials: lifelong learning. Why lifelong learning? Alternatives. You got choice. You got many avenues to do. Okay. Hey guys, you just go and you can learn anything. You can learn how to write. You can learn how to sing. You can learn how to bake. There's so many things. The world is your oyster. Everything is over there. Easy access. Stackable means if you're taking micro credentials from an institution like from us, we KDU micro credential, if you do accounting 1, 2, and 3, this is called stackable for you to get credit transfer for accounting paper in degree. That is called stackable. And recognition of non-formal learning. So when you do micro-credentials, this is under APEL recognition. APEL recognizes non-formal learning. All right. There are 3 types of learning: formal learning, non-formal learning, and informal learning. Formal learning is those with certificate lah. That's called formal learning. Okay, certificate, diploma, degree is formal learning. Non-formal learning is if you join a micro-credential, you get that cert, it is recognized under APEL also. Informal learning is learning on your own interest. If you like to do photography and you have been having fun being a photographer for many years, even though you have no cert, you never learn, but you read on your own and so on, that is called informal learning. Okay, so all of this kind of learning is recognized under APEL. So that is a justification for micro-credentials. Okay. It's all come down to recognition, guys. Seriously. We are only as good as what the industry wants. So if the industry starts recognizing this and says that a degree is no more needed, guys, then no more for us, no more for us. So that is where we need to look at. Principles of group micro-credentials: outcome-based. It is personalized, on demand, industry-driven, secure and shareable, and it is very transparent. So these are certain key principles of what makes a good micro-credential a good micro-credential. Okay. So in Malaysia, generally, mode of delivery of micro-credentials, ODL or conventional. Under micro-credentials, micro-credentials can be ODL, open distance learning. It can be online or it can be conventional. Conventional means this: you can have a class in KDU on a micro-credential. That means I'm teaching baking, for example. So I can tell the student, you sign up for my micro-credential in baking, 2 days, Saturday and Sunday, 6 hours a day, 2 days. So it is on physical. They need to come and do. At the end, they get a cert. That is also a micro-credential. they meet the first part of baking, for example. Okay. So micro-credential does not need to be only online. It can also be face-to-face. Okay. Please take note. Nationality for all in Malaysia is open to all, naming, blah, 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 and so on. So these are certain things which I have taken from our policy, our general policies on micro-credentials in Malaysia. Why? Very important. Malaysia's their structure for micro-credential is actually very transparent. It is good, and it gives you an idea on how this can be an avenue. So for those of you now who are now need to take the next step in transformative learning, you see, and you find this is a good way of looking at things for your school, please go ahead. Please go ahead. All right, try. You want to have a chat, you want to develop a micro-credential from your school, you want to have a chat with me, no problem. Let's sit down, we can talk about it. I will totally champion your idea. Okay. So age of graduations via micro-credential, Malaysia got even a policy. Let's take bachelor. Bachelor, based on current entry requirements or equivalent, is 22 years old. Currently, to do bachelor degree, you are roughly around 22. Okay, normal age of graduation. Under Appel A or Appel credential is going to be 24. So you need to be 21 years old plus 3 years. So what they said is under here is when you graduate using micro-credentials, it will not be the same age as the normal traditional students because you're working, that's why you do micro-credentials and so on. So there are minimum age requirements for you to graduate. Yes, in Malaysia they have it. So this is also pretty important, all right, to us to understand. Okay, so like example, let's say MBA. When we talk about MBA, normally student after degree 23 years old plus 1 year MBA 24 years old. But if you're using the micro credential as credit transfer, that means you're following Appel. Micro credential will follow the Appel system. Under the Appel system, then you need to be 30 years old before you can do to go through under Appel with micro-credential. So with your master's, 1 more year, 31 years old. Okay, so 31. So what they're trying to say, MQA is trying to say is no free ride. It doesn't mean students started doing a lot, then they graduate using micro-credential when they're 25 years old with a master's. No, or maybe 22 years old. No, there is still certain gap. But I foresee this will change because when you want to encourage learning, we need to understand some students learn faster. So this is one document which, in a way, it is fixed by the government, but I don't really agree because there are certain people who are just faster they tend to adapt and they tend to learn much faster. Okay. Other aspects in the document, this is just micro-credential recognition and reward. So what they're trying to say is micro-credentials can come from a single institution, multiple institution, and HEP and other providers. So all of these are basically in the guideline again, as I want to stress. The reason why I want to speak over here is this. Let's say you have a friend in Taylor's, and we can come up with a micro-credential for accounting between KDU and Taylor's. So both institutions work together for micro-credential. Any student that do 3 of these micro-credential accounting 1, 2, and 3 can get credit transfer for Taylor's and KDU. So it's open to everybody. Then they have the option when they want to do their degree. If you do in Taylor's, you get credit transfer. If you do in KDU, you can also get credit transfer. So this is what it means. All right. So there are many different pathways. And these documents that came out was for last year. Last year they came out because they wanted to encourage institutions like us to focus on the micro-credential development. Okay. Understand, guys? I don't expect you to know all of these things because these are very policy aspects. Just want you all to see a little bit because I want to open your eyes a little bit to understand that maybe if you want to do this, this is an avenue that you can look into on your transformative teaching and learning. Okay. Okay, so that is basically on ODL and micro-credentials. I hope you guys are a little bit clearer now on what this is on transformative and why are we looking into it. Now, our institutions are looking into ODL and micro-credentials. We have started. We haven't been aggressive, but I can tell you we are going to be aggressive because we know our parent company, UOW itself, is already they have subdivisions that look into this micro-credentials and ODL also. So they are already encouraging us to go on this pathway. Not so much on encouraging lah. Encouraging means in the word forcing lah. So that is an avenue that we're going to go into. But as I said, I'm not just saying that we should do what everybody else is doing. What is important is for us to be creative and innovative so that we can stand out from the crowd. How do we stand out from the crowd? That is what is critical in your individual discipline. Okay. And the final part we're going to touch on is on what blended learning, that is the other aspect of transformative learning. One is the offering that we have. The other one is the class delivery. So I just want to touch a little bit on what blended is. For some of you, you have already covered this in a course. Previously, this was actually done in the past few years by Hema. She actually has this training on blended learning, which was very interesting. So blended learning, also known, some of you may call it as hybrid learning, is a method of teaching that integrates technology and digital media with traditional instructor-led classroom activities. That is what blended is. All right. So when we talk about blended, it is to blend, it's a hybrid. So it is anything that involves traditional with with technology, traditional with technology and digital media. Technology, it means usage in class, can also mean blended. In class, you use videos, you use many different kind of tools. These are also regarded as blended. Now, blended doesn't mean only doing online. So as I stressed, it can also mean physically in class using different kinds of technology. So when we look into the blended aspect, there are certain key advantages. If we are looking at technology from home, it provides a safer learning environment. It gives access to students who do not have access to go to you to actually learn. Increase student engagement. Now, general research have shown that once students are comfortable with the blended environment, they are actually quite honest and they do open up to conversations and also engagement in the online environment. Flipping the classroom improves comprehension. I'm a strong believer of flipped classroom. Okay, guys, flipped classroom. You know what's flipped classroom? Flipped classroom is where you get the students to lead. Now, this comes from the theory that highest level of learning is when you are able to teach. This is where flipped classroom is. So as I've said before, I mean, in my previous training sessions, I do encourage all of you to practice flipped classroom, guys. Flip your classroom. But don't do this. Don't just say, okay, Ali, you next week, chapter 1, you do alone, or just the whole of chapter 1. You can give parts. That means, let's say next week you're doing chapter 3, and in that chapter 3, there is one part, there is one component. There are 3 components to chapter 3. You can have one of your student or one group to prepare that particular component. All right, so that they can come out and do the class, and then they explain. So you are there, you are the facilitator, so that group is able to explain. That is one way of doing it. You select groups and tell them what to do. Another way of doing it is you tell the class, all right, this class is divided into 5 groups, okay? Next week, I want you all to prepare chapter 2. You don't say which group will do the presentation. So everybody will do their work. Then the following week, so when the week comes, you pick the group. Okay, group number 3, can you present on it? So every group will work on it. Okay, got good and got bad points, all right? But the whole aspect of flipping it is actually good. Now, at the initial stage, students may think, sir, why are we doing this? Am I doing your job? But in the long run, once you rationalize with them, they will actually learn. All right, they will learn that there is the concept of resources. That means you are given 20 minutes to talk about this chapter, this area. So the students will need to select information that is important. The process of selection is application under Bloom's taxonomy. It's a high level of learning. So when students are able to go in and select information that is critical for this chapter and deliver the information, it shows high level of learning. You see, that is why flip is good. Seriously, it's very good. But you must give them resources 20 minutes. So 20 minutes, you need to cover this, what they do. Okay, now, many a times when we look into this kind of learning, you have to understand that the rewards are going to not be today or tomorrow. It is going to be long term, because it creates a whole ability of the student to think and be able to apply this thought itself. Guys, go and try. It is not easy. You will face resistance. I can guarantee you will face resistance at the initial stage from the student. But once they understand the benefits, it's good. All right. Not every chapter. If you have 12 chapters or 12 lessons, maybe do four. Break the class into four. If it's a small class, ask them to do four at the initial stage. You chapter one, you chapter two, you chapter three, you chapter four, for example, or maybe chapter 2, 4, 6, and 8. Whatever that suits. Then you let them develop. They have to read, they have to understand, then they go. Then after that, you give them feedback. What was good, what was no good, what did they miss out? You get the students to ask question to the group. So when the students are able to answer, this is high level of learning. Okay, all right. So flipping is a key aspect of blended, but it's not the only aspect. Students have more autonomy over their learning. When you flip it, there's a lot of autonomy. Autonomy means the way that when you do blended, students have autonomy, means the way that they learn. It is not a rigid structure of a specific time. Learning is constant. It is not structured by timetable. Learning is constant. Okay, so blended allows students to learn in their own environment, context, and whatnot. Okay, so that is why in my practice of blended, when I do online, for me is goal achievement. I give students work to do, and then I say at the end of the week, you need to prove to me that you understand this. So there's going to be an assessment. The assessment is not, it is a formative kind of assessment. So it's not going to be summative. It is not going to be part of your final exam, maybe. But I just want students to do that, because some of our students are very good for morning classes. 8 o'clock, no problem, pay attention. They are morning people. But some of our students, 8 o'clock classes, you can look at them, but they're zombified. Okay? They are more afternoon people. All right? So every individual will be different. And by blending it so on the learning context, it gives them the opportunity to work best in an environment that is most suitable for them. Okay? Now, efficient use of instructor time, our time, also that's another advantage of blended learning. It allows us to be more flexible, to use our time better, to be able to guide our students when they need guidance, when they need. Okay, like so you are sometimes in class, students, any question? Nobody asks anything. After that, you go back, 6 o'clock, you receive all your WhatsApp. Student asking you question. Hey, ma'am, what about this? Sir, what is this? What is that? In the class, you ask, nobody say. Now they ask all the questions. This is what it is. Okay, gather learner data for better insights. You get a better understanding of how students learn, and of course, finally access and enroll more students. Yes. The thought about blended is, at the end of the day, when students feel that there is value to this method, they will want to learn. They will tell their friends. They will say that, guys, this is a good method for us to learn. This is how we should be. But all of this blended learning, flipped classroom, all of this must come from the principle, must come from the context that learning is by the student. Success of learning is the responsible of the student and not the lecturer. So we must always make sure that when students join our programs, they need to understand that their success is, like what I stress, is based on them doing it, not based on what the teacher says, not based on the notes the teacher gives. Those are just guides and facilitation. It is what the effort that the student puts in itself. Once that whole context is clear, then when you do blended, you do this, you do that, and so on, at the end of the day, it will work. It's like, okay, when I was young, when I was doing my tertiary education in the early 90s, I wasn't a dumb student, quite okay student. I did well in a way. But when I went overseas, I was pressured, to study, because I know the impact of what it had on my family. Okay, so that stress itself, that stress motivated me to learn on my own. Teacher no need to ask me to go for class, I go. Facilitator no need to ask me to go library to do research, I do. You see that? Because there is a driving factor of knowledge. I know I need this for my job. I know it is also expensive for my family and so on. So we no need to prod the student, you know. Okay, all right, no problem. Okay, whoever needs to go, you can go. I'll also be ending very soon. You give me 5 minutes, I call team already. I so hungry already. So what we need to do now is to make sure that the students understand that context in their mind. Learning is them, their success on their own. I want to achieve my goal. So the means that we give, these are all practices that we do to ensure that students achieve their goal. And once the students understand these key aspects, that it is them who deem the success of themselves, then whatever impact that you put in, when you rationalize with them, they will accept. They will accept. Currently, a lot of students is, my success is because of the teacher. If the teacher don't teach, I don't succeed lah. Salah. Facilitator. We are facilitator. We are university lecturers. Facilitation. Okay? Facilitation. So, ladies and gentlemen, in summary, what we covered today when we talk about transformative learning or transformative teaching and learning is very important for us to be realistic, to see the future of higher education in a disruptive world. Where we are, what is changing, look at our country, look at our competitors, look at what we are doing, look at our customers, and of course, look at the companies that are hiring our students. The reality is we need to adapt. We cannot stay on what we are doing. We cannot maintain status quo, because if we do, we are going to lose out. Also understand that the pie is shrinking because there are more people stealing a piece. And it is important for us to make sure that our piece will be the most attractive that people want. How do we do it? This is where transformative learning comes in. Transformative delivery comes in. This is where we look into ODL, micro-credentials, blended hybrid learning. These are only some examples. There are many more creative things which they are in the market, but we cannot cover everything. So we just want to emphasize that these are the things that we are definitely to do. So we are here to give you the skill. But before I give you the skill, I need to rationalize with you on why we need to do it. Okay? So what I want you all is, let today be a first for you to open and understand that the situation of what academic or the higher education industry is, and how do we then better ourselves in a way to make ourselves competitive. May you be in hospitality, engineering, business, media, games, or whatever. The avenue, look out, think out from the box, and try to come up with something. Then we can grow from there. So this is where we ourselves make ourselves relevant. Okay? Relevant and growth for our institution. All right, ladies and gentlemen, are there any questions? How was it? Did you all follow? Yep. Yeah. Good. All right. Good. I'm happy that this that okay. Yes. Can. Very good. Yeah. Follow Gabe. Yeah. I really appreciate you all attending. I know time and your time resources is pretty tight. And I'm really happy that all of you are here to just give me your time, the past 3 hours for me to share with you. As you go on, you guys are doing a series. As you go on, you're going to see different aspects on delivery and so on that will be done by different colleagues. And I want all of this to be as fruitful as possible for all of you. So with that, I would like to say thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Have a very good weekend. The weather is still pretty good. Have a good lunch and take care and stay safe. Thank you, guys. Bye bye. Yes, still waiting for Texas chicken. Definitely, definitely, definitely. Okay. Sayonara.